So I need to make this video to analyze and discuss the fact that Jalen Hurts has broken the brains of people who talk about the NFL online. And the reason why I say this is because way back in the day, back in the dark ages, before the Eagles had won a Super Bowl, Eagles quarterbacks would have really good seasons, or they'd win the division, or they'd have a certain amount of games won, or they would sweep the division, or they would win playoff games, go to the Super Bowl. And we were told that none of that stuff mattered because the team didn't win a Lombardi, right? Our quarterbacks weren't good enough because they kept choking. And this happened all the way up until February 4th, 2018, when the Eagles won their first Lombardi. After that, we had been told, no. No longer is it about the team. It's now about the individual. Right? This was mostly the Cowboys fan base. We've got this elite quarterback, right, who's putting up great stats, and this is something for us to be proud of. And he's this and this against the division. He's this and this against you guys, and he owns you. He's your dad. Completely forgetting all the other stuff that they had told us in the past, right? It's no longer about the team. It's about the individual, right? And, the Eagles quarterback is Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good quarterback. There are some things that he does really well. There are some things that he doesn't do very well. But I specifically remember up until the 2022 season where he had an all-pro season, second team all-pro season. He was second or third place in MVP voting. He had a pretty good year. The team went to the Super Bowl. He performed very well in the Super Bowl. The team unfortunately choked in the Super Bowl. And us Eagles fans were told this. We were told Jalen Hurts lost the Super Bowl. He lost the Super Bowl for you guys, right? We had been shown that fumble over and over and over again, right? Replaying in our faces for 2 years. That's what we had been told. We had been told that Jalen Hurts, he can't win the big one. He's just a big choker. All the way up until after Super Bowl 59 with the 2024-2025 Eagles, where the team now won the Super Bowl and Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP and put together some very dynamic throws and did a lot to help the team win. Well, now people completely changed the script because they looked at the situation and saw that Jalen Hurts, was one of the catalysts to helping the Eagles win, and they saw that their quarterback wasn't able to make that jump, whether they weren't able to win the Super Bowl or they weren't able to get to the Super Bowl despite having some very good seasons. They looked at that and they thought to themselves, what can we say to discredit this guy and how well this guy played? Let's see. Well, he plays for a super team. He got carried by a super team. Any quarterback, right, could go to that team and win a Super Bowl just like Jalen Hurts did. And my quarterback, who plays on a team that I consider to be a lesser team, needs more help. Well, guess what? If your quarterback considers themselves to be an elite quarterback, meaning they transcend all the talent on the field, and they make everyone around them better, much like Tom Brady did back in the day, where he was playing with garbage men and janitors and postmen, well, until they get to the playoffs and they're trying to get to the Super Bowl and they lose before they get to the Super Bowl, they lose in the Super Bowl, then the narrative changed to, well, they didn't have any help. They need more help. Well, I thought you said that they didn't need more help. So now what you're telling me is they're just like Jalen Hurts in the fact that he needs help, but they need help too. This really puts into my mind one thing. Why do we even, if the super team is all you need, if the pieces around you is all you need, why don't you just get rid of that elite quarterback? Build a team around some like Tommy DeVito or Nathan Peterman or my grandma. Use the money that you would have paid that Josh Allen, that Joe Burrow, that Lamar Jackson. Build a super team around them, all the best receivers, the best line, the best D-line, best secondary, linebackers, receivers, tight ends, running backs. And then why don't you just put in some Joe Schmo quarterback? Due to your theory, you should be able to win the Super Bowl. But you're probably not going to win the Super Bowl because you can't just put a quarterback on any super team and expect them to win. Here's the thing. Before the season even started, they said that Jalen Hurts would never win a Super Bowl, right? No matter what team you put forward, no matter what team you put him on, something was always going to stop him from being able to win a Super Bowl, whether it be himself or curses or whatever, right? Leading up to the postseason, almost every analyst said this: you stop Saquon Barkley, you stop Jalen Hurts. In fact, a lot of the analysts and a lot of the people were picking the Packers, the Rams, and the Commanders to beat the Eagles because they thought that Jalen Hurts was going to stop the Eagles from being able to win. The Eagles weren't a super team at that point. Even before the Super Bowl, they were saying, well, can't go against the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs. It was only after the Eagles won the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts at quarterback that it turned into the Eagles are a super team. Of course they were going to win the Super Bowl. We knew they were going to win the Super Bowl the whole time. But you didn't know they were going to win the Super Bowl the whole time. You picked against them every single step of the way. So my point here is to say that you can think about Jalen Hurts whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, his team won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl. This is the team accolade. This is his accolade. Because before the Super Bowl, you said he's a choker. He lost for his team. But it's really strange that now you're saying his team won and not him. Like he was being dragged the whole time. Which, if you saw the NFC Championship game, if you saw the Super Bowl, that's not the case. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. But if you don't at least think that he's good, I can't help you. I'm out. Peace.